Joining us on the Harbor One Hotline is Tom E. Curran. Tommy, how you doing?
Louis, how are you?
Good. Heard you called in last night. How about the big fella?
Yeah, I helped out the big fella, and he did a tremendous job.
Yeah,
congratulations to him, and congratulations to all of you guys for the effort put forth. Really remarkable. I don't know. I wonder how long do you sleep after that? Is it a normal 8 hours? Is it a 10-hour? Is it a 14-hour? Do you not have a lot of success getting to sleep?
Yeah, unfortunately, it might take a couple of days to kind of get it back, right? A couple of days, maybe over the weekend. Maybe Saturday, Sunday starts feeling better.
Yeah, his circadian rhythm's going to be screwy.
It sure is. All right, Tommy, I want to get into these New England Patriots coming off the bye. I thought it was interesting. I heard you and Phil Perry talking about, what can you expect coming out of the bye, and can you see some drastic changes? So I would ask you, am I going to on Sunday just look up and see the exact same offense and just hope they execute it better, or will we see some drastic changes?
It's funny when you ask that question because in speaking to David Andrews yesterday, just asked about some of the execution and what could change. And he said, well, maybe not being in 2nd and 12 because we had a 5-yard penalty or didn't line up correctly or somebody wasn't covered up or we forgot the snap count. That would help.
Yep.
So in some ways, and I asked Mac Jones this too, and he's spoken like a circle, but I asked him, is it you or is it the opponent more often when you leave the field and things don't go well? Are you blaming yourselves and saying, man, we're close, or are you saying that teams are just blowing us up? And I don't know if they know the answer to that. But what's great about this opponent, Mego, is they're going to see a team that they just saw 2 weeks ago. So we're almost going to get an apples-to-apples comparison between what they're going to do this week and what they did previously.
They know pretty much what they're heading into, so they can game plan, do some more of that self-scouting and apply it. But I want to ask you about something that I heard you say on your podcast the other day, which is that if it just feels like from the outside that this team just feels behind for where they are in the game schedule. Do you get a sense from anybody on the team or anybody in the building that they feel that way inside the building, that they're just, is there time left in the season to figure out the stuff, particularly on offense, that they need to figure out?
Yeah, we've definitely gotten a sense of that over the course of time. I wouldn't say in the last week or so that there's a level of frustration being expressed, but when guys are frustrated and they're talking about execution and they're talking about getting back to basics and fundamentals and learning how to take a sack properly and protect the football, that's all so elementary and rudimentary. And yeah, it happens at other times, but I continue to look at this offseason in which they jettisoned a fullback, they decided to extend Jonnu Smith and change his contract around so that it was very expensive and elaborate. And they wanted to implement a new offense and a new language. And none of it has worked. The zone runs, they're one of the worst in the league. Phil did a great deep dive on that. There's a story on our website about it. All the things that they've tried to do haven't worked. So now as they pivot back and try and figure, okay, do we want to be a gap running team the way we had been previously and make that work? They're still stuck, in my opinion, in August, trying to figure out what they want to be. And it's not, this happens every time. Remember 2018? Mm-hmm. In 2018, you had McDaniels and Brady, and it was a tweak with guys who had institutional knowledge to something they knew. These guys outright don't know what they want to be.
Talking to Tommy Curran, NBC Sports, and Tom, talking about that Mark Daniels report about guys calling out plays. I heard Andrew Callahan on with Brian Barrett say that Mac Jones was actually one of them, which I thought was strange that these guys are talking that openly with a reporter around here. I heard him yesterday talking about how it's two different offenses and different coaches. Is this Mac Jones' subtle way of screaming to the media and the fan base, look what I'm up against?
I don't think he has shied away from intimating that, hey, it's a lot. Mm-hmm. There's a lot going on here. And if you want to look at my stats and say, wow, 4 touchdowns and 7 picks, that's not real good for anybody taken in the actual draft, never mind the first round. I can understand why he would be defensive, and I could understand why you would say, yeah, not me. It's not me. So, yeah, absolutely. I think that we will continue to hear that undercurrent of commentary from him while at the same time announcing that I understand it, we're going to get better, and I'm going to do what I'm told. I think personally it has to be crushing for him because you probably envisioned your second year going differently after a playoff and an almost rookie of the year season. But I understand I don't think he's lying, Lou, when he stands at the podium and talks about how much he respects Bill or how highly he thinks of Matt Patricia.
Tom, you a couple minutes ago just said that, you see this pivot in what they're doing with the running game after all the stuff that they implemented in the offseason and training camp. Do you see them doing that, or do you anticipate them doing that in the passing game as well? For example, with Devontae Parker coming back, do you think that we're going to see those 50-50 deep shots that we saw early in the season and ride that roller coaster again?
I think that ride is closed.
Okay.
I think that got shut down after the Baltimore game. And, the way the Patriots have proceeded since, and the way they've given out gold stars for no picks and no turnovers and no bad plays, I can't imagine that they're going to turn into that. If they can somehow segue a little bit into more of the RPO game that they have dabbled in but not had great success in, then I think that could work. You have a downhill running back, obviously, in either Stevenson or Damian Harris, and you do have guys who can uncover quickly. Just the low percentage throws that are a byproduct of the downfield elaborate routes, they're not working. Did you guys see the Dan Orlovsky hit?
Yes.
Yeah. It's a perfect example, and I've been asking, why are there no crossers on 3rd and 5? Why is everyone running for the exits down the field? I'm like, it doesn't make sense. This is a team that used to make you defend every blade of grass, and they don't do it that way, and it's not working.
Talking to Tommy Curran. And Tommy, I heard you and Phil talking about Bill delegating, leaving it to these offensive guys. Now, we have hammered Patricia and Joe Judge from what we have seen all year offensively. But in a way, I kind of feel like Bill's getting a free pass. He's not for hiring these guys. But I find it hard to believe this guy doesn't sit in there with these rooms and go over these game plans and is in there realizing, I know we're not doing any of these RPOs or pre-snap motions. Like I feel like he's more involved than people are thinking. He would just sit back and watch this offense fail. And he's part of that. Like, he's part of the game planning.
Oh, yeah. That's the most interesting thing. On the defense, they make a stop, and no one's screaming about, oh, what a great play design by Gerard Mayo. And it really was great that it's Belichick's defense.
Yeah.
On the offensive side, it wasn't Matt Patricia's decision, I'm sure, or Joe Judge's, to jettison Jakob Johnson and give Jonnu Smith the contract that he gave him, or Hunter Henry, or Nelson Aguilar, or Kendrick Bourne, or bring in Devontae Parker. They wanted, personnel-wise, to be a totally different team. Bill made those decisions. Maybe there was consultation with Matt, but Bill's got, as he said, blame me. If it goes wrong, blame me. And it's hard to do, I guess maybe because Matt's an easier fall guy.
Yeah.
Than to blame Bill. I mean, okay, he's got.
But we're actually, but Tom, we're blaming Matt Patricia because he's not a great offensive game caller. Like, no kidding. Like, it's right. Almost not his fault. Like, it's the guys who thought he could do it's fault, right?
100%. Yeah, all of it is. I mean, when we look at the coordination, and that was the Dan Orlovsky thing was really interesting. That's all about coordination of the timing of the offense. And maybe it goes to Troy Brown with the wide receivers. Maybe it goes to Patricia with coaching the offense. But the coordination has to start someplace, the main manager. And that's why I look at this next 8 games isn't just, hey, try to make the playoffs and get to 9 or 10 wins. It's a referendum on who you want to be going forward. You have $60 million in cap space for next year. You're probably going to have a pick in the top 20. So what do you want to be? And who do you want to coach on that side of the ball if you're Bill Belichick, and how much input does Robert Kraft have in it? Because he's not going to just sit there and say, well, that didn't work. Mm-hmm. We'll go get him next year.
Tommy, looking at Sunday and just watching these teams, which Zach Wilson do you think shows up? Is he going to be 3-pick Zach Wilson, or is he going to be keeps it in control, plays within, colors within the lines and all that?
Yeah. He has to be like Tony Eason in the 1985 Super Bowl against the Bears. That is, anytime you see something awry, hit the deck, which is what Tony did for the Patriots, and eventually got himself benched. But that would have happened to anybody. But if you look at Zach Wilson, I think that they were so adamant after that game about saying, please stop hurting us. We would have beaten this team, the New England Patriots, had you just not taken so many risks and been so cavalier with the football. So I think that was probably beaten out of him verbally.
So you think they've tamed him?
He did last week against Buffalo.
Oh, that little wild stallion.
Yeah.
Did you tame Can you tame a guy in Olivia Newton-John headband? I don't think so.
All right, Tom. Listen, we appreciate it. Thanks for taking the time, man. Always enjoy talking to you. We'll talk to you soon.
All right, guys. Take care.
There it is.
Thanks, Tom.